Yay! Hello everyone, and welcome to the Transatlantic Call-In Show, the show where you can call in and talk to some trans people, and you can ask any questions you like. You can ask about, well, you've got to ask something trans, because otherwise it's probably going to be boring, but like, call in and ask us that awkward question you've always wanted to ask a trans person, but you've been too embarrassed to. And this week, you don't just get to talk to just normal trans people. You get to talk to the greatest, most regal, beautiful trans person who's ever existed, Queen Katy, and her most lowly, wretched potato sack slave.
Yes, it's me.
Who's
fresh out of the potato field.
Who's just called Potato this week. So if you want to ask a question to either Queen Katy or Potato, then these are, this is the full range of trans people. This is all the way from British white trans woman to American white trans woman wearing a potato sack. That's the full spectrum.
Yes, that is all of it. No.
Yeah. Anyway, so you might wonder why we've got the greatest and the worst trans person of all time, and that's actually because you might not know this, but these are costumes, and this isn't really a potato. This is Arden in disguise, and that's because on a previous episode we have a challenge every episode, which is see who gets the most votes in super chats. So you can do a hashtag Team Katy, or this week a hashtag Team Potato, and whoever gets the most wins the challenge, and then the loser gets like a forfeit. And we did one before where if I got the most, I'm a queen, and if Arden gets the least, then she has to wear a potato sack. And she didn't remind me of this at all, and literally just turned up like wearing a potato sack, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot we promised.
I also turned up with my eye makeup designed to give me these eye bags. I actually am a lot more beautiful and youthful in my full state.
That is true.
But,
well, it used to be true, but I think this is the new permanent look. I'm enjoying it.
Well, I mean, we can work it. I think it's okay. I'm feeling it a little.
Yeah, it's wicked. But yeah, so what potato-y things have you been up to recently? We haven't like, I don't think we've been on the show together for ages. We were just saying we haven't talked in ages. Like,
yeah, it's been a while. I mean, it's been good. I had a long week. I think the past few weeks of episodes got canceled, and in part due to I had a loss in the family. That was a pretty hard one. It's I don't have I think I talk a lot of shit about my family on this show, but like this is one family member that was actually kind of hard to lose. So that was difficult. But other than that, it's been reptile central over here. Matt and I have a fucking zoo at this point. We have so many snakes. We went from however many we had last time to you were here. We have like 23 now, I think. And really? We just got a Euromastix. So yeah, it's really cool. Our little reptile zoo is growing. But it's a lot of work, but it's fun. Good stuff.
A Euromastix. I just asked this because I didn't actually know the term Euromastix, but it's like a little lizard that when it's happy and full of energy is bright blue. How cool
so
is that?
This specific kind, it's a really common thing in lizards. They call it firing up, where if they're feeling dominant or if they're heated up and they're feeling warm, they will sort of amplify their colors. And with an ornate Euromastix, those colors that they fire up are like a teal blue with some like yellow spots on the back and maybe even some red in some of them. So ours, is he fires up a nice teal blue. He's very, very pretty. Yeah, they're closely related to bearded dragons. You'll notice they'll do the same head thing where they'll like kind of look at you like this and they'll like tilt their head up to get a good look at you. So they're really cute. Well, how have things been with you? You've been doing some traveling and shit, right?
Yeah, I've had a good time. I've been to Spain. I went to Netherlands. I went to a metal festival, which I don't know if if you can really see on the YouTube, but I've got some bruises. Yeah, I got my queenly bruises from running around in a circle to some thrash metal. Yeah, I've had quite a good time. Yeah, let's move on to the polls because otherwise I'm just gonna tell you about my life forever and then. So last week 2 weeks ago, apparently 3 weeks ago, apparently.
Just going back further and further.
5 weeks ago, we asked do you have to hide who you are at family gatherings? I guess was that even like around Thanksgiving or something? Maybe we asked that.
Yeah, I think this is
Yeah.
maybe like after Thanksgiving. It was kind of intended for, or right. Oh no, I guess it would have been before. Yeah.
Me and Ben did the Thanksgiving show, and
Right.
Jimmy and Ben wouldn't let me go. I remember that one.
It
Anyway,
was
we asked
asked on Thanksgiving. Remember, we did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I thought this was an interesting question. I mean, I guess it can be a difficult question to answer, but I think it's very relevant to just kind of LGBT people in general, who are obviously a lot of our audience will be, but also you're welcome if you're not, to just see, you know, what people are kind of up against. And you often hear people talking about Thanksgiving or Christmas as like their favorite time of year, and then other people saying they absolutely hate it. And some people hate it because they just don't like people or fun or food or whatever. But lots of people have valid reasons, like their family doesn't accept them, or they have to hide who they are. So we had, actually, Arden, do you want to read it out? I've done loads of talking, sorry.
Yeah. So it's, do you have to hide who you are at family gatherings? And 42% said no, never have, thankfully. 19% said just to a couple of people. 21% said yes, and I hate it. 5% said I used to, but they've come around. And 13% said I don't see my family anymore, so comment. But I think this is a really interesting spread. I actually am just seeing this spread for the first time of answers, that it seems like only about half of our audience is like at presence able to be fully out in themselves around their family, or half of respondents to this poll, I guess. Because it seems like the other ones, they have at least some of their family they have to hide from, or potentially all of them, which is so significant. And I think kind of reinforces some of the stuff that we see in the literature, like the previous trans health survey, not the new one that just wrapped up, I think, a couple days ago, because we don't have results from that one yet. But they would report how like so few trans people have access to, you know, certain documents and things like this. And I think this is a very similar thing where people don't understand like how a significant portion of LGBT people, not even just trans people, have to like hide significant portions of who they are from their family in order to probably like avoid conflict or safety concerns when they go home. So this is what the holidays, I think, represents to a lot of LGBT people. It's why I personally am a little bit of a Grinch, because the holidays have always kind of sucked for me. I'm out to my family. My family is, most of them are good. I don't have to be, you know, I don't have to lie about who I am to any of them, but I definitely am not cool with a good handful of them. And yeah, I definitely empathize with this. I've been here many, many times, and it's a shitty place to be. So makes me want to, you know, tell our audience, I hope that you have good friends and people around you who do love you and support you for the coming holidays.
Yeah, definitely. And like earlier in my transition, I think probably I had one Christmas where I hadn't, like, I'd come out to myself and I'd come out to some friends, but I wasn't close to telling any of my family. And then I had maybe 3 Christmases where I told them, and we, like, it was like 3 years or something of us getting back to being like, you know, a good family unit again after me coming out. You know, it kind of makes it sound like it's my fault. It wasn't, but it took some time to get around to, you know, back to normal. And I think it's like better than ever now. And in fact, I'm really excited about this Christmas because it's the first time I'm ever hosting. So I'm like planning all what I'm going to cook for everyone, and that's really exciting. Yeah, I know, I'm really excited. But I guess Christmas is something that I've always enjoyed growing up. I've been quite lucky to have good Christmases, and so it is kind of a big deal to me. And so in my mind, when I think back about it, in my mind, I had at least 3 bad ones. They weren't bad, but you know, there was so much. I wasn't relaxed, and it was stressful, and then got back to normal. So it can take a long time, but you can get there. But yeah, you know, shout out to everyone in the 13% there that said they don't see the family anymore. Maybe that's just because you love that, and that's great. And maybe, you know, you don't have any family anymore, and that's great too for you, maybe. But if that's something that you're not super happy about, you're neutral about, I hope you've got other people who you can see, and hang out with, or you just don't care about Christmas at all. I just hope that you have a good time, or whatever other religious festival that you half celebrate because that's the culture you grew up in, but you're not religious, or if you're religious even, I hope you have a good religion time, religion-y time.
Religion-y time. All right. But yeah, that was 3 weeks ago's poll. So let's bring up this week's.
0 weeks ago's.
Yeah, we want to do this one because this one's kind of all you.
Oh, I fucked it up.
We got to read more.
It's got the read more. Oh man. I'm just gonna make it so you all can post them, and you can just send me the screenshots.
Okay,
that'd be great. Get up the full text, or because I did send it. Oh, well, luckily Google Chrome is crowd. Give me 1 second. Right, I've got full text here. Anti-trans groups seem to have copied the anti-abortion lobby in their legal strategy. Lots of small, unlikely lawsuits. They may have lost this time, which I will talk about in a minute, and it's actually quite funny, but it worked for the anti-abortionists over decades. Do you think it will work for anti-trans people? So, and then we've got answers, yes, maybe, depends on the politics, and no. And obviously we'd love to have some comments. I think this is a good one to maybe have a polite disagreement with your fellow transatlantic viewers in the comment section, because it is interesting trying to predict these things and how much to be worried about them. Obviously, the anti-abortion people, I mean, at least in my, people I talk to, it's almost kind of famed how long they spent on this. They spent decades of planning, and I'm sure straight away they had big protests and big pushback and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, they haven't been, their strategy hasn't been like constantly go hard. It's always been wear away these little things, make abortion slightly harder to access, stack one person who's anti-abortionist in this court and wait 5 years, that kind of thing. And obviously they've got, these big anti-abortion hate groups are all anti-LGBT as well. And so they've been working together. But anyway, we'll discuss that more in a second, and I'll let Arden weigh in too. The reason I brought this up is you may or may not know that in Scotland, which is part of the UK, and that is relevant, I'm not just telling people who might not know where Scotland is. In Scotland, there's lots of trans rights stuff going on at the moment, and in fact, next week on Wednesday, they are having the final vote or a final vote for the Gender Recognition Act reform, which is the thing that we've been pushing for in the UK for the last 6 years, and it's finally happening. And this is the thing that J.K. Rowling is going all in, lying about, and we've talked on this show about it quite a few times. But there's other things that have been going on too, and one of the gender critical anti-trans groups, For Women Scot, who are Scottish, at the start of this year. Or perhaps it was late last year, I'm not entirely sure when it started, but basically the Scottish government announced that they were going to bring in a law that said on public boards and bodies and government things, they were going to mandate it so you couldn't have less than 35% women on any board, to stop them all just being all, just men in suits kind of thing. And I support that kind of thing. I think if they mandated it had to be 50-50, then it might start getting a bit like you wouldn't necessarily be able to hire the right person. I don't know. But having a lower limit, saying it's got to be at least 35%, we can argue what the percentage is, but I think the gist is a good idea. But this group, For Women Scot, sued the Scottish government and basically said that 35% can't include trans women. And they lost. But then they appealed it, and I think this is what happened at the start of this year. We weren't expecting them to, but they won the appeal. And that was kind of scary because what that meant was, because this ruling in the UK, when sometimes you get the legal rulings, they set precedents for other legal rulings and they base rulings on top of each other, etc., etc. Basically, what that meant was, in at least one situation, a trans woman who had like legally transitioned and had all the right documents still didn't count as a woman in the eyes of the law for this one situation. And obviously for the gender criticals, this was amazing because it gave them like a foundation to then say, oh, we can now sue another thing, because this is only like public boards in Scotland gender ratios, so it's not like the big victory that they wanted. But I feel like their strategy was never, for this big one single win, which they would have to do in Parliament and stuff. They do these little legal battles, and then they won this one thing, and then it's like, oh, maybe they can build on top of that. And anyway, so that was kind of scary. We were all a bit worried about it, but then the Scottish government basically just changed the wording of the guidelines, or they were trying to dodge around this. And so 4Women Scot then sued them again, and paying with their own money, well, probably crowdfunded, but spending gender critical money and anti-abortion lobby pulling the strings money, probably, who knows, but they lost. And they didn't just lose a little bit, they lost in a way that like overturned the previous ruling, and also like set a stronger precedent. And the judge like just straight up said basically the total opposite of what they were saying. One of their big legal propaganda points is they were saying, in law, sex means your birth sex. That's like the gender critical position, where they say, oh, sex not gender. We don't care what your gender is. We only care what your sex is, and your sex is just your birth sex. And the judge said, clearly the law makes it clear that sex isn't just birth sex. It's not just biological sex. Now, I disagree with exactly how she used the term biological sex, but in an important legal context, what they're saying is that what says on your birth certificate isn't necessarily what your sex is in the eyes of Scottish law, but Scottish law can set precedents in the UK. It's kind of complicated, but that was quite good because basically they appealed their own win and lost.
Yeah.
And messed it up completely, spent their own money on it. And then also, just on top of that, one of the main gender critical groups is called Sex Matters. And one of their big campaigns at the moment is to try and get the UK government to clarify the Equality Act, just basically to say trans women count as men in the Equality Act, which it doesn't say that, and it's quite explicit the other way. But this ruling has basically just added weight to our argument and undermined that, and has, in a way, clarified the Act. So they've kind of, not only did they appeal their own win and loss and lose, but they also kind of undermined the main group's like current campaign. So that was quite funny. So we all had a bit of a lol at that. Anyway,
one of like the few really like positive trans news that we get. That's great to hear. Yeah, with regard to like whether that will work for trans people, I think that is an interesting question. I mean, we've already seen, I think, some success on that in the States. Where they've floated different laws that have been smacked down by courts, and then they float up an amended version of it the next legislative session, and that one is a little bit harder to smack down. It wouldn't be surprising if they, employ this strategy. I think they already are, but whether it'll work is more interesting because, while I definitely have my criticisms of Biden and the Biden administration, just recently citing the Defense of Marriage Act, which is not, as some people have described it, exactly like just full-fledged federal support of marriage, but it kind of is at the same time. It's a little bit more complicated. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a push from that administration for a similar thing for trans people. Well, I'm hopeful that we might see something like that in the near future, at least in the States. But I don't know. It's really hard to say, right? Only time will tell. So
yeah,
we will see.
What this has given me some confidence for is this small strategy thing. I think maybe it is working in the USA, or it works in some states, in some places. And I was worried that it'd work over here, and maybe it will in England. I don't know, but at least for now in Scotland, it really does seem they've completely failed on this. They've actually done this before. A different group, AEA, they call maybe it's like Authentic Equality Alliance or something. I don't know. One of the original founders of LGB Alliance's previous groups basically tried to They did a legal review of some kind. There's so many fucking legal terms you don't really need to know. But basically, they went to court and tried to say that all trans women are already banned from women's toilets. And then the judge was like, this is an obvious absurdity. Fuck off. And they spent like tens and tens of thousands of pounds on that. And that benefited us too. So I don't know. But actually, that just reminds me of an extra funny thing from this. The lawyer of Foreman Scott genuinely went into court and argued that the Gender Recognition Act in the UK, which has been in place since 2004, had already been repealed. Like, literally just made that as an argument, and said that, well, it must be already repealed because we've already passed gay marriage. So there's no reason for a trans person to change their birth certificate. Like, what? And so the judge was just like, nah, mate, what are you on about? It's just
okay.
One of the I think very I'm just trying the best way to describe this. Well, basically a really amazing and hardworking like anti-extremism campaigner, someone I follow on Twitter called Mallory Moore, who works with Trans Safety Network, who I respect very much and is great. She was saying that this is an example of like these lawyers, these like gender critical lawyers, being so in their own little world, their own like gender critical echo chamber, that they bounce these arguments off each other and nothing brings them back to earth. And it's so like deranged. This is where like I get transphobia rots your brain from. These are like real lawyers, and not just like, oh, just some lawyer who will take on a wacky case, but like accomplished lawyers with real like credentials who are otherwise seem decent or sensible, at least, even if garbage people, who will go into court and arguing that a law has already been repealed. Like, what is it? It's just mad to watch. And I think that is one of the reasons, at least for now, while the gender criticals are less able to do this kind of legal strategy the anti-abortion people are doing. The anti-abortionists might be horrible people with garbage views, but like they're not saying abortion is already banned. That's not like one of their arguments, is it? Well, maybe it is now, but it wasn't one of their arguments 3 years ago. And you have to have your feet on the ground and, you know, not your head in the sky or whatever. I did that was a complete screwed up analogy. You have to be in realm of reality in order to win this stuff. And gender criticalism today is just detached from reality, and that's because they focus so much of their campaign around this Gender Recognition Act, I think, where they've just had to lie entirely about what it does. And yeah, it's interesting to see. I feel like I could talk about this forever, but perhaps it's time to take some calls.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a chance to talk about that more. But we have full lines. I hope everyone who's on the line waits, because we would love to get the chance to talk to you. We're going to try and hit everyone today. But first up, I would like to take, hopefully I don't mispronounce your name, Sathya in Arizona. Pronouns are she, they. Sathya, you are live. Wait, what is the line we're supposed to say? You're on the line? You're on the line.
You're on the line. Sathya, like, you are on the line. You want to talk about the way you have concerns about us having some views. Wait, what? Sorry, it scrolled off the screen. You have concerns about the way hosts often use the trans-supportive statements of medical organizations to say trans people deserve rights. Go for it. Are you there, Sathya? You might be muted. Oh. If not, we'll have to come back.
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh, there we go.
Hi.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Love the show. Sorry about the confusing wording on that. Love today's outfits. I discovered your show a few months ago, and I've obsessively been watching the back catalog. And seeing it back to back has caused me to see some of the same things being said repeatedly, and one of them's left me feeling a little uncomfortable. And I'm sorry, but I didn't have the chance to find a specific quote, so I'm going off of my memory of seeing you two say things to this effect. And I think I've seen Arden say it a little bit more emphatically. So when I say the thing, if people have misquoted you, please correct me.
No worries.
So,
yeah, just go for
the argument is put forth. Okay. So the argument is put forth to explain why it is that trans people deserve liberation, self-determination, medical autonomy, etc. And the argument is something like this. All of the major medical organizations agree with the view that trans people deserve these rights and that transitioning as directed by the patient is a proven strategy for minimizing suffering and maximizing the happiness of trans people. Does that sound roughly accurate?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's certainly an argument you can make. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I know where you're going.
I'm asking, is that an argument that this show has made?
Yeah, I think I probably said something quite similar to that before. But I would like to hear
a subset of my position.
Yeah, I think it's a. Yeah,
okay.
I think a subset of the position is probably a more accurate way to frame it. But I want to hear you expound on your point, and then we can kind of respond on that level.
Yeah.
Cool. So here's my problem with it. First, it's an appeal to authority. Second, I feel it's a vulnerable one because recently, it sometimes feels like yesterday, medical institutions that are now supportive of trans people were anywhere from foot-dragging gatekeepers to kind of trans-skeptical to just outwardly hostile and locking this up so cis people didn't have to see the dangerous perverts out on the street. And I don't trust for a second that they're going to stay that way. Florida medical boards vote to ban medical care for trans kids as an example. And yeah, I understand that, for example, the American Medical Institution isn't staffed at Ron DeSantis' direction, unlike that board. But these institutions, like they've become trans supporters now, could change course, especially in reaction to an increasingly hostile political climate. So when I hear that argument deployed, I can't help but feel, yeah, but for now, and feel a bit queasy. And I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't have a replacement argument for it. It's just, I hear it and I'm just like,
Yeah.
Right? It's interesting. Sorry, I feel like you're going off hard and you go for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just going to say, first of all, with regards to it being an appeal for to authority, in some sense it is, because an appeal to authority isn't always going to be fallacious, right? When you are appealing to the relevant medical experts on a topic to say that, oh, your position is in opposition to all of the relevant medical experts who are making their conclusions based on, empiricism and actual studies and research, it's not the same as saying okay, well, I'm blanking on this, but I've gone through this before. Appealing to authorities isn't always fallacious.
It's I think maybe it's more the difference between an appeal to authority and an appeal to expertise. An appeal to authority is the king says this, or my dad says this, or someone who says that in charge of this said that. That's an appeal because they have authority, but they don't have any relevant understanding or expertise or knowledge or proof or evidence they can bring. Whereas an appeal to expertise is saying, well, this person has studied this for 30 years and they've got 50 papers in the topic. And that doesn't mean they're always right, but that means that they at least have more of a valuable opinion on this than someone who is only claimed to this as they are the king.
Yeah, I've never wanted, and it may have come off this way, I may have almost said exactly those words, but to clarify my position now here, I have never meant to say that because these organizations say so, trans people are valid, or that would be where it becomes fallacious. Because they say so, it is true. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they say so because they have the best medical evidence, or they're relying on studies and academia and all these things. But I agree with your point that organizations that are currently supportive of trans people could, in some fascist takeover, cave to the fascists and burn all those documents and say, actually, trans people are the devil and you need to go out and beat up the first trans person you see, right? So it's like you're saying, it's good to not rely on it's true because this organization said so. But I think to what Katy was saying, as it's mostly to be a subset of my argument when somebody says something you're denying the science or you're denying reality by being trans. A good response to that is, okay, but the science actually is in support of trans people and you stand in opposition to the science. So if anyone's denying science here, it's the anti-trans people.
Right, but, I can see that.
Yeah, I definitely empathize with your concerns.
I think that...
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think on this point, I think it is a valid point to make, and sometimes when I say this, and especially when it's in a Twitter argument where you've got limited words and stuff for now, you say something like, "Oh well, you know, all of it's kind of like a quick one-liner to say, well, all of the medical organizations of any note basically in the world agree with my position, and no one agrees with yours, and who the fuck are you? You're a nobody, and you don't even know what you're talking about." That's kind of true, and there's some weight to that argument, but it's also true that like the NHS is garbage for trans people. There are loads of medical organizations which just are garbage for trans people. They're behind on like international standards, and there's a huge debate about the international standards, about whether they're good enough. There's loads of people pulling in all kinds of different directions on there, and to an extent you'll get that on anything, but you would definitely have a lot of trans people will say that the healthcare they have from the experts is rubbish. And I would also argue that, and I think that's good. Someone could flip that around and say, well, who are you? You're not an expert either, and you're saying that like the NHS are wrong. And basically all I can really say, as another kind of one line to that is, well, there's international guidelines written by people who are even more experts than the people at the NHS. But then you do end up with this kind of problem where you're just saying, oh, well, these experts and these experts. But the point is, the real argument that and you can make in a more long form argument is when we say like, the sort of conservative meme of trust the science, where they just say that as if people who aren't conservative just blindly say that. What we're really saying is, when we make a claim about a medical treatment or a medicine or a therapeutic treatment or something, when you make some kind of claim about this, we're saying that we've got some level of confidence that we can predict that it will be beneficial in some way. Like we can test this. We have done tests on it before. When we say something like, opium reduces pain or something like that, that is not just like someone who has loads of expertise in the field or whatever. And it's not just a written guideline by the experts. It's also, we have decades of research done, that's peer reviewed by people all over the world from different competing medical organizations and private enterprises and all kinds of things, showing that to some degree of confidence, and a high degree of confidence in the case of opium, being a painkiller, that this works, and we know some of the mechanism and that kind of thing. And if we were to have some weird authoritarian government come along and say, right, all of the people in charge of all of the medical boards in this country now believe only in homeopathy and don't believe in medicine, then suddenly the argument, well, all the experts say, maybe it wouldn't hold up or something. But what would hold up? The science, but like the evidence we have, the peer-reviewed studies, the decades of repeatable experiments and predictions that we can make will still be there. And if maybe they could destroy them all, but now with the internet, that's much harder. And we just end up in a position where maybe they could even force us back to, stage zero. But the thing is, we find medicine for experiment and evidence, and we'll get there again. Like, that's just the reality of it. Like, we're always, humans are always going to discover that opium is a painkiller unless we were to somehow, prevent us from having the ingredients to make that. Like, it's like an inevitable discovery of medicine. I don't know, maybe I don't know enough about the history of opium to make that as a strong claim, but the point is, we're appealing to human advancement and understanding of the world rather than just humans who are making a claim, I think is the point here. Sorry, I didn't go ahead.
And I think you're probably right, Sathya, that I'm sure the way that it was phrased, probably in some of the episodes you've seen, might not have been as explicitly clear. Because, when you're doing these shows and you're trying to synthesize, like, loads of, academic research with the individual claim that the caller is making versus, like, having a brain fart or something, because these things all happen when you're live on air. You don't always word things correctly. And I'm sure there have been many times where I've worded something clumsily. So I appreciate you calling to ask for clarification, because I definitely wouldn't want people to think that I'm saying, we're valid because this medical organization says so. That's not the line. The medical organization may have been like, the proxy. They conducted the research that gave us the evidence, but it's not because of them. As like an authority.
Yeah, and maybe an easier parallel would be, it overplayed and everyone always uses like flat Earth, but like when I say I'm arguing with some idiot who, is on the internet saying that the Earth is flat. I am not, a physicist or an astronomer or anyone with a relevant qualification on the shape of the Earth. But what I can do is say, well, all of the international space organizations agree that the world is round. All of the physicists agree that. And that doesn't make it true. And if they were to all change their minds, it wouldn't change. The reality is still there. And any experiments we do are going to reveal that reality. Like, the more experiments we do reveals that in a more and more clearer picture and solidifies our worldview more and more. And the worst possible case would be all the experts suddenly disappearing or being, displaced with idiots. But the truth would still be there. And the goal of science is to just try and create the best model in our minds and as like a society, as understanding of the world as possible. And the only way we can get there is by making predictions and testing them. And it might be that transition isn't the best healthcare for trans people. Maybe that's true. But if that's the case, we're a long way off finding that. And currently, all the evidence we have does point towards it being the best treatment that we know. Maybe, aliens will turn up and they'll be like, oh, yes, we've got this in our home world and we do this other thing instead. And it makes people even happier and better off. Maybe that's the case. But we're only going to get to that. We're only going to get to a position where we can say, healthcare X is better than transition by doing more science. Like, that's the only way that we'll get there. and what might happen is some politics will get in the way, and politicians will say, no, we don't like that because of moral reasons, as in we have no morals. Therefore, we're now overruling what the science shows, but we won't ever be in a position. Well, we might be in a position where the science reveals that transition is bad, but we won't be in a position where science reveals conversion therapy is better than transition. And I'm fairly confident in that because we have so much evidence. It's kind of overwhelming on that point. So I don't know. I hope that's explained it. I do actually want to say one more thing just before we hand over to see what you had to say. When I saw the show notes, I thought the way you were going to take them. The point you've raised is really interesting because I wasn't expecting it. I thought the way you were going to take this was, so are you saying that, the only reason that trans people deserve bodily autonomy and rights and stuff is because the science shows that transition is good? And I think, and that's why I said it was a subset of my position, because it is true that what evidence we have shows that trans healthcare is the best healthcare we have available that we know about for trans people. But that itself is not my only reason as to why I think people should have bodily autonomy and trans people should have rights. And it's like the classic, I don't think being LGBT is a choice. But if it was a choice, so what? You should still be able to choose to transition. You should still be able to choose to marry someone of the same sex as you, because fuck off, it doesn't affect anyone else. Like that's like an even more core premise. And I can say fuck off to people, but that doesn't always convince people. So I can also say, well, look, number one, fuck off. Number two, all the science backs me up. And number three, fuck off. And that's, so there's like layers of arguments there. But yeah. Arden, do you have anything else to say? Or Sathya, do you have...
I want to pass it back to Sathya. But yeah, I pretty much agree. I think, autonomy is the core there. And we can never really know if someone is, being trans because of a choice or being trans because that they're just like, there's a brain state that is just immovable that's there, right? There's no way to tell the difference between those things. So it seems like the best thing to do is to just take people's word for it, give them access to the healthcare that's best for them. But yeah, we threw a lot at you, so I do want to give you a chance to respond.
Unfortunately, I got about a third of what the two of you said, so I will have to watch the show. Yeah, I'll be honest. When I've heard people like Wes call in and he's constantly saying, "Oh, I didn't hear you," I've been falsely assuming that he's just saying that to go, "Oh, well, I'm going to disregard what you said." But yeah, I actually only heard about a third, so I'll catch it up later. What you said sounded reasonable. I assume you've said other things that will put my mind at ease.
I hope so. And if not, you should call us back and go at us again.
Okay, we'll do.
Yeah,
thank you
definitely call
both,
back.
and mayo is delicious, whether it's slime or not.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
and I
Thanks,
give it-
Katia. Have a good
Number
one.
one, fuck you.
Yeah, we do have issues with call connectivity on the caller side. The audience can hear them perfect, we can hear them perfect, and we can hear each other perfect, but something's in the mix there. So we're also kind of lacking. We have a lot of allied callers today, which we love that. We always want to take you guys, but if you are listening and you disagree with the stuff we say, you want to challenge us, the best time to get your call in is like right when you're sensing a call is starting to wrap up, because there's a little bit of a delay. So if you were trying to sneak in, because we have actually a lot of busy signals going out. So just in case there's any callers out there who are maybe gender critical and want to debate us with that's your tip to try to slide in quickly. But until then, we do have 3 other callers on the line currently that
Let's do
are... Yeah, let's bring in, we got Jacob next in Portland. Pronouns are he, him, /any. Jacob, you are on the line. What's going on?
Hello.
Hi. What's up? What's your question today?
Hi there. So this has just kind of transpired over the last 24 hours, but I had a really awful professor in the political science department. And among the things she said in class was she referenced trans women getting pregnant. And I kind of looked and no one really thought anything of it. And I just thought, well, time to take it to the department head. So I took it to the department head and didn't really phrase it to him ahead of time. I actually just posed the question to him maybe, 15, 20 minutes into our Zoom meeting. And I said, what is AMAB? And he just looked side to side and he's like, I don't know. And I just am kind of like shocked. I'm like, well, do you know what AFAB is? And he also doesn't know, of course. And so basically he ended up just trying to defend not knowing this and was pretty much just acting like it wasn't a big deal. And to me, at least, if you're going to be the head of the political science department at a major university, that's like the most basic, bare minimum level of effort you could put into knowing anything about these issues. So anyways, he's now trying to sweep it under the rug. He's refusing to send me the video recording that he took of our meeting, despite saying he would. And now, just this morning, actually, a few hours ago, after my latest correspondence, he's trying to pretty much say he's never going to talk or email me again. And is just basically further perpetuating, like, sweeping this under the rug. So I guess my question to you all is, what should I do about this apparently transphobic head of a major department at a university?
Yes, interesting. I guess my position on cis people not knowing things is, even if they don't know like the most obvious thing like ever, if they've never even heard of a trans person or anything, even if they're in a position where they're you feel like they should know, like if they're a doctor and they don't know what a trans person is or something, if that's the case, I that alone I think is fine. Like, even if they are like a lecturer or something, if people just don't know, there are so many things to know in the world, and there are loads of things I don't know. I only recently started learning about the kind of political woes of travellers in the UK, and that's not because I hate them. It's because I just had never encountered it before, and that, for sure, that's like a privilege of me to never have to engage with that topic before, and but the best I can do, it's just a fact, I had never engaged with it before, and I thought, wow, I don't know anything about this at all, so I'm just going to follow a load of people and read about it and learn about it, and I am not even close to being knowledgeable on this topic at all, but I'm at least ready to learn, and I think that some people are just going to be in that position, and if that's the case, then fine. And if I ask someone, hey, do you know what AMAB means? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, cool. Well, this is what it means, and that's fine. But of course, some people don't want to know. And some people, it's not just they don't want to know. As soon as they sense it's trans related, they think it's bad, and it's not they don't want to know, they want to pretend they don't know because they want to resist it. And if they start doing that, then that's the point at which I would consider someone to start being transphobic. Like if I say, hey, do you know what a trans woman is? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, did you know, like, I'm a trans woman and it's something like this, and and they're like, well, I don't like it, or no, that's not whatever, or they go off and say they still don't know what a trans woman is. And they're like, well, what reason do you have to not know now that I've told you in a quite open way and in a way that I'm willing to answer questions and stuff. But so I guess it depends on how they reacted to things and what they've prepared to do and stuff. And I guess I would be wary about calling them transphobic just for not knowing, because sure, maybe they're head of political science, but like maybe they're just lazy, maybe they're just bad at their job, maybe there's a whole load of maybe things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are irrationally prejudiced against trans people. And I guess that's my position, and maybe that sounds like I'm calling you out a bit, and that isn't really my intention, but I think that's how I would approach the situation in general without knowing the specifics.
Yeah, I want to give you a chance to respond, but I kind of wanted to ask some like follow-up questions. Like you had mentioned you started this conversation with the head of your department because you had a comment from your professor about trans women getting pregnant. Could you expound on that? Because yeah, I guess I don't really understand. I think I must have missed some details, or maybe you were just trying to like give us Reader's Digest because you're on a call and shit, which totally makes sense. But I feel like I was missing some details or something there, because I didn't really get why the department had needed to be contacted, like, or why. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm not following. So could you expand? Yeah.
So pretty much, I was actually contacting the department head, because the teacher herself was just generally awful. In combination with her saying, like these comments about trans women, she just said and dismissed a lot of things throughout the class, talking about equity, talking about creating more democratic and representative systems. She didn't like any of those discussions, and she very tended to shut down things that were out of her preconceived worldview, I would say. So I was actually going to the department head because it was a bigger picture thing. Now, what happened when I finally went to the department head was that I was giving this presentation to him, and I had preceded this in an email, by the way, saying this teacher cannot differentiate between trans men and trans women. So when the time finally came, I didn't ask right away, or I didn't state right away, she can't tell between these two identities. I asked him and posed the question, do you know what AMAB is? Do you know what AFAB is? So that I might get at, what his actual knowledge base is. And that's when that comment was elicited from him. And then he, his response was very much so defensive and very, just downplayed it a lot, honestly. Like he wanted to make it as little of a deal as possible. In the email he sent back this morning to me, he was also still trying to minimize it. He grouped basically all marginalized communities together into one like lump sum thing, and just saying, well, I've studied marginalized people, so I've studied it all. And that was kind of his attitude. And it was funny because, in the email that he responded to for this, the penultimate thing I was really asking for was to start a discussion, and I'm quoting, to start our discussion about being more inclusive to trans people, trans identities in the political science department and curriculum. So the core essence, I guess, of why I'm calling is that is what I'm trying to accomplish, is getting these discussions with these department heads, and this department head, at least, being a person who's trying to shut that down and who does not want to really engage in this.
Okay. Does
that help?
Yeah, I think I follow a little bit more now. So I think I have a similar position to Katy, where I think, when it comes to like cis people not knowing stuff, I don't have much of an issue with that. Even if they should, it's just, it sucks. It's not okay, but
They just don't.
It's hard to fault them for that. Yeah, exactly. I will say that.
But he also, not to interrupt, but he claims to be someone who's well studied in the area. He claims to be someone who's done this for his career, and he claims to know about these marginalized people. And honestly, to me, someone who's well read or well connected with these communities are going to know the most basic, words and associations and acronyms associated with that. So just a little pushback. I mean,
yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think you're probably right that if he had honestly really been engaging with trans people as a minority, that he probably would know those terms, right? But that said, I think he probably has done some research on marginalized people broadly and probably felt defensive, like you were saying. And I think it's an unfortunate consequence of human, just a tendency of humans to, when they are feeling defensive, to push back unnecessarily. And that doesn't make it okay. I'm not saying that what he did was acceptable or anything like that. But I think it's hard for me to look at that situation. And I will say, when you're saying like just want to start a conversation about this stuff, not being receptive to that is problematic. I think that's something that I would expect a college professor to be more open to engaging in a conversation about these things. So on that point, I agree with you. I don't know if there's a like a higher hierarchy that you can appeal to try to get these conversations started on your campus or in your program, and I definitely encourage doing that. But yeah, I feel like it's hard for me to look at a cis man saying I don't know what AMAB is and thinking that's transphobic. I think it's probably maybe irresponsible. Or even negligent to some effect on, considering what he ought to know given his position. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to look at that and view transphobia. I'm not trying to dismiss your feelings or anything like that. But yeah.
Sometimes you get into this position where, like, a cis person is faced with a angry trans person or ally or whatever, and they just get defensive, and that is kind of in a way a natural human response. And especially when you're some cis man professor, like they always have an ego, and they will often get in such a defensive position that they like become transphobic, and it's kind of pathetic, really. Like you see transphobes saying this online all the time, like, I used to be fine with trans rights, and then someone was mean to me on the internet, and now I campaign to ruin your life. Like, fucking hell, man. Like, is that really your worldview? Your worldview is just a reaction. Like, it's pathetic. But the thing is that some humans are like that. Too many people are like that, and it's kind of cringe.
Yeah.
But it is also just a reality, and I think sometimes it's good to give someone a way out. And I think it's the way that I try to engage with these conversations is like, oh, you maybe even just surprised, like this person thinks that trans women get pregnant and trans men don't. You're like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm kind of like, right, I'm not surprised, but oh, did you notice the other way around? And they might be like, no. And I'm like, oh, well, that's all right. Lots of people get it confused. So now you know for future. And like, it's actually a thing because I got a friend and he was pregnant. It's a big deal. And like all this kind of stuff. And then rather than being like, why don't you even know that? Like, are you stupid? Because that is kind of what I think sometimes, like, oh, fucking hell. But at the same time, it's just like teaching kids sometimes. You just have to let them be idiots, and you can respond to get them to be defensive or not. And maybe it's a little different when you're a student and they're a professor. But I also know that professors are arrogant dickheads sometimes. Some of my friends are professors, so not them, but all the others.
And like, I want to reiterate too, for you, Jacob, that like, what I'm not trying to say is that like you shouldn't be upset or that you shouldn't be trying to change this. I absolutely think those emotions are probably justified, and that you should fight to, have your department having these conversations and to be more educated and more inclusive in their coursework and materials and all that. I'm just saying that it's not like your approach is invalid for trying to communicate. I'm just thinking I'm not sure that that's going to be successful at actually getting communication going when you're viewing an instance of ignorance as like a like malicious negligence or something like that. I think maybe if you try to like, I get it. It's shitty that trans people have to do this all the time, right? We have to swallow our feelings.
I mean, it's why we do the show.
Right, and dumb it down so that we can communicate with cis people who are being ignorant. But that's exactly why, like Katy just said, exactly why we started this show. Because we got sick of having those conversations all the time in inappropriate context.
Totally.
So
we were like, let's have these all the time.
yeah. But I don't know. I just want you to be able to maybe retry going at that conversation with maybe a different strategy. And maybe you don't have to do our strategy. Maybe our strategy doesn't work for you, and that's okay. But it sounds to me from like what you described to us that maybe his walls are going up. At that point, it's not effective. Sorry, you can go ahead.
You still there,
Hello?
Jacob? You might be muted.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we might have a...
You were back for a second there.
And then...
No, you're not.
Oh yeah, no, y'all are. I'll concur with the last caller and say that probably a quarter of the time it's a little bit choppy.
Sure.
It's really annoying.
But yeah, no, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I think it would be good to try a different approach. I definitely think the conversation should obviously still happen. It's just more a matter of it. He's clearly at this point, he's trying in all ways possible to avoid the conversation. And I think that in and of itself is, just suspicious of, well, I mean, it looks suspicious on his character, I mean, if you're the head of the political science department, and I mean, I feel like, we should be counting on political scientists and sociologists and these other social sciences departments to be the most aware about trans issues, that, if we're counting on them, that we hold them in some sense to a higher standard than even other departments or people within the university. So, I guess it was just not a shocker to hear this from some, 50-ish-year-old, presumably straight white man. So anyways, yeah, no, I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah. And if you have if you do a different approach and you have any success, or you're getting more pushback and you need to like raise, some, like have another conversation about it, I definitely invite you to call back and revisit this and kind of regroup and reflect on what we said and how it worked and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I had a good friend send me this show not long ago, so
awesome.
I will keep at it, and then I will call back if something else comes up or if there's another add-in to the story. But otherwise, thank you for your input and the time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jacob.
No
Have
problem.
a nice day.
Thanks for calling. Wicked.
Alrighty.
Yeah, it's
now's maybe a good time.
Oh yeah, go on. You go.
I was gonna say now's maybe a good time to remind the audience that we're gonna hit a couple more callers before we wrap up the show, and then we're going to do our super chat. So if you donate $5 or more in a super chat, make sure you put hashtag Team Arden or hashtag Team Potato in the end. That's actually important to making sure it gets through. We'll read it live, and and that's what helps keep the show going, keeps the lights on, allows us to do all the amazing production that we do. So definitely do that if you are able to. We would appreciate it very much. How are you feeling about these callers we got on the line right now?
Yeah, well, just before I was just going to say, I feel like my goal in I just accidentally hit the chat. I feel like my goal in talking to cis people is to make them more likely to support trans rights. And if that involves doing something really tedious, then I will just do it. And sometimes I'm like, well, this person is an ego dickhead who needs leading like a sheep through this absolutely basic set of puzzles, and they should already know it, and I'm putting all the effort in, but if I do this, then maybe the world will be a better place for other trans people, so I'm just going to fucking do it. And I do that quite a lot, and maybe sometimes it's a waste of time, but maybe not. And I think that's what this show is in the spirit of. So sometimes that's just the energy you need to have. Like, everyone should know about trans rights, but they just don't fucking know anything, and that's just the reality of the world.
Yeah.
While we're alive in it today, and maybe in 200 years' time, every single professor at every single university will know what a trans person is.
I mean, that is like definitionally marginalization, right? Like the fact that we have to suppress our emotions, suppress our frustration, and talk on the most basic, like I almost feel like I'm being condescending when I do it sometimes, level to get the most bare bones level of respect and dignity in, you know, your education or workplace. That is what marginalization is. But unfortunately, and there are different strategies. You know, I have one that sometimes I pop off a little bit more than Katy. Katy is a little bit more patient and understanding than I am sometimes. And I think both can be effective in different circumstances. But anyway, let's hit these last callers. We want to do 4 and 5.
At least 2 of them. Yeah, I was just gonna...
Okay, sure. Yeah. Let's pull Tilly in San Antonio. Tilly in San Antonio, pronouns are she, her. You are on the line. What's going on?
Hello. That was very British.
Hello. I can hear echoes in the show. This person's been online for an hour and 12 minutes, so I completely understand if they've like set their phone down and walked off and been like, "Fuck this." Well, okay.
Hello.
We are good. Oh,
there
we go.
Hi.
Hey, Tilly. Nice.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
you.
Hi.
You're on the line. What would you like to talk about today?
Sorry. I'll just to start off, I have to confirm with the other 2 callers that the quality when hearing through that is kind of hard. So I was watching on the stream, but then I can't control the volume on the call-in tab. So it's a whole thing. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Nope, I totally understand. We apologize for the issue. There's nothing we can do about it right now, unfortunately. So what is your question? Topic.
So I sort of had a quick question that I actually am just curious about. Do either of you 2 play bass?
Bass guitar?
I don't.
I do.
No?
Oh, it's just out of reach. I play bass guitar.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Because this is the thing that I keep on seeing, and I don't quite get it. It's so much like trans women who play bass it's the most common factor that I have seen.
Oh no. Am I a meme?
And any and all trans women. It's more than Blahaj. It's more than Uwu Cat Girls. It's more than like Spinny. It's trans women who play bass, all right? And if I'm talking Katy, that is 7 so far.
More than more than Cat Girls. That's bold. That's quite a claim.
I'm a guitarist first. Like, look, so my bass isn't even in reach, and my guitar is right here. So,
So yeah, that was
keep roasting
my little bit there. But I guess what I really want to talk about is like just ways that you find like joy in like. Or it's like something that I feel like people don't talk about very much is that there is just a lot of joy and catharsis to be found in the actual process of fighting back against bigotry. Like 2 days ago, I was at the Aztec Theater, and there was a local fascist militia that had decided to show up to protest a drag queen Christmas, right? And I joined the counter protest, and like, it was fun. Like, it's not something that people like talk about, but these things they can be fun. To go to these things, to yell directly at the fascists, to see just how few of them there are, and like to celebrate like queerness with people, like to be surrounded by your people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely have been at counter protests before where we outnumbered the.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the connectivity. I was going to say, I have been at counter protests before where we vastly outnumbered, the people we were there to protest. And that is a good feeling. I will say for me personally, I do this stuff because I have like a brain worm where when I hear someone do it and I don't think they're doing it right, I feel like I have to bust down the door and do it for them. It's not at all because of joy. In fact, I think I get way more stress and anxiety doing this kind of stuff than anything. But I do it because I feel like it's an obligation in some sense. But I'm glad other people get joy from it. I just personally, I do not at all.
I don't from live protests. I find protests like when there's protests for trans rights, the ones I've been to, I felt it kind of depressing because I feel like I'm like begging for my rights. I've been to some other protests. I went to a good anti-abortion one, which was quite like uplifting. But then that doesn't affect me directly, so maybe that's easier for me to feel more uplifted around. I don't know. I haven't been to enough protests really to say, but I do find catharsis in doing these shows. Like Arden says, sometimes they're stressful, sometimes they make me anxious, but generally, certainly when I get off on a rant about something that's like relevant to what's just happened, I've been thinking about some of these things all week, and that's why I do my
half of your sentence, Katy. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just saying, yeah, I do get a catharsis from doing these like rants and stuff, because sometimes I've been thinking these things like all week, and I just need to tell them to people who get it, and I can come on here and talk to Arden and talk to all the callers and say a thing, or I can do it on my own channel.
Is it really hard for you? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You're probably gonna have to just listen back.
Yeah, I think you're just gonna have to listen back to the show.
Yeah.
I apologize.
But yeah, I do get a lot out of it, and it kind of makes me feel like fired up afterwards, like thinking like, yeah, I've just kind of said my piece and finally got it out, and like now people know what I think, and yeah, it can be good, and it is a good thing. And maybe I just need to find the right protests, or maybe counter protests are more fun because like the dickheads who are trying to ruin your life are right in front of you. But then I've not gone to any counter protests because I'm afraid of them. Like I don't want to run into like fucking
maybe
Nazis.
I might be. This is kind of like a petty dickhead sort of feeling for me. But
that's a fine feeling.
The ones where they are there, like I've been to 3 protests this year. Only 2 of them had like chuds there. The other one was for the Greg Abbott's order to basically like criminalize trans kids, and like seeing those groups of people there, like in person, like it's sort of empowering because we spend all our time basically on the defense against these people. And like, when you see them, they are just the most pathetic. Small little people in the world.
Sure.
They're so dumb and they're so bad and they're so horribly outnumbered. And it is just like, it is very cathartic to see that in person. You know what I mean?
I definitely get the sense of catharsis when, you spend so much time online fighting this stuff, and it seems so significant that when you interact with people in real life and you realize how small in quantity and in quality these people are, it does feel good to be like, kind of be like, okay, I think maybe it instills a little bit more hope. I definitely have had that sensation, but yeah, I definitely can't relate to joy in it. It definitely is. When we have victories, I definitely celebrate, and I think, woof, man, I feel relieved. At least I can think about this a little bit less often than I do. But
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not really hearing most of what you're saying. I'm gonna have to listen to it back.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I feel bad. I know you've been on the line for an hour, but we do have 2 more callers that I think we're gonna try to probably get them both, even to my dismay, on one of them. But I would think we're going to have to let you go, Tilly, and hopefully you can listen to it back. And we're trying to, I know we're doing some tweaks on our call system to hopefully not have issues like this.
Okay.
Eventually.
Thanks.
All right. I just want to. Sorry, what?
Go for it.
Go ahead.
Go for it. Say your thing.
Okay. It's so hard to hear. I'm sorry. last bit, I just want to say thanks to Arden. So you're kind of the only person that I've seen who is in this kind of online content creator activism space, and also in the like pretty person posting like some explicit stuff and having a good time with it. And that's actually really inspiring to me, and it's like kind of gotten me into that as well. All right.
Oh,
that's all I gotta say.
Thank you so much, Tilly. I appreciate that. That's really nice. Have a wonderful day, and definitely call back another time, hopefully when we have a better call system.
Yeah. Bye.
Oh my God. Somebody's promoting my content for me without me even having to do it. Oh my God. And they were subtle and everything. It's wonderful.
I thought she was going to end on a burn there.
Let's not go to the next call yet. I'm going to reset the system so you all just talk for a minute.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, I thought there was going to be a burn at the end there, because she started with a burn being like, oh, do all trans people play bass? And then it was like... and then she's like, oh, well, I like Arden because she's like in the argument space and also is really pretty. And I was like, where's this going? Like,
yeah, it did kind of almost sound like she was...
only one.
She was queuing up for a burn. Yeah, no, I definitely get the... I feel so bad about the call system sucking, but...
We're going to try and fix that.
Yeah, we're. I know there's like potentially a whole brand new call-in system we're floating, and I don't know where that is in creation stage yet. So
it's basically it's a new system, but it isn't really currently set up for shows where the person who's running the show isn't also hosting the show. It's made more for like radio stations where it's the host is present in place. But they're changing a bunch actually with me, like in partnership with me. We're doing stuff together to make it more ready the other way, and it just is taking a while to get that set up. So that's what's happening.
Cool.
Well, we have
if
two
you
callers
will talk
left
for like 2 minutes. I'm currently monitoring on a call what your audio sounds like, and I think it's better because I just connected it, but I can verify once I've heard you a bit.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think with regards to like that last call, it is interesting that somebody can get so much joy from this activism stuff, because I know for me, like even today, like I like doing the show. Once the show starts, I'm A-okay, I'm good. I usually am having a good time, right? Yeah. But before the show, every time I feel like shit. I'm like, man, who knows what kind of caller we're gonna get? Like if like I don't mind conflict. In fact, I think sometimes I enjoy an excuse to bare my teeth a little, you know? But like, it is stressful. You never know what somebody's going to talk about or how toxic they're going to be. And you know, for this show, the whole point is that I actually care about like coming to understanding and like actually communicating and reaching people with information, not like, I don't want to sales pitch my side to you, you know? I want to show you the evidence that led me to come to my position, because if it's convincing for me, I would think it would be sufficient to convince other people as well. So it's difficult, but I don't know.
I'm going to connect myself as a call so we can test it from that end as well and see. It sounds a lot better, but I don't know if as soon as we bring in a call, if that's going to mess it up. My theory is that the connection is touch and go because during the holiday time, more shows are active and they're doing more. And because it's a web-based sort of thing, my theory is that their server fucking sucks. And if you get a bad connection, you get a bad one. I think we have a good one now, but you're going to hear me as a caller here in a moment.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm sad that sometimes you dread doing it because I can hear myself echoing back and it's horrible.
I think it's common.
I can't believe I said that.
This is me as a call now.
Okay.
Oh, is it echoing for some reason?
Oh, yeah, it's echoing really badly. Yeah. But that might be...
Oh, there you go.
It shouldn't be echoing now.
Okay, no, I can't hear myself anymore. That's really good. Okay, you can hear me fine?
This is much better.
Even if
beautiful.
I say Jimmy smiles?
Wonderful.
Okay. All right, wicked.
Awesome.
Cool, let's move on to... I just want to finish my thought before we go on to the call.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Okay.
Bye. I don't ever dread them in the run-up. What I find is I'm kind of like excited and ready to go for this show and my other shows and stuff. and I don't get anxious, I don't get stressed or anything. And then afterwards, for like half an hour, I feel all buzzed up, and then I get anxious. And like, just because, what if I said something that someone's going to clip out of context, that when I go to sleep and wake up the next day is like the thing that's going off? I don't think it's ever happened, but you never know. It's easy to just say something and then get wrecked for it, I guess. So
yeah, I mean, just like the first caller today, it was like, hey, you've said this thing before. I want to challenge you on that, which I totally want people to do. You know, if I said something wrong or shitty, I would like the chance to like, do I still feel that way? Do I have like a correction that I need to clarify on for the audience or whatever? But yeah, I definitely get the post-reflection anxiety. Usually I'm feeling better in the after the show than before.
The
but
time,
man,
the time I get most anxious is when we have a shit person on, and I'm like, did I call them out enough? Like, they said a slur and I didn't react to it, because my natural response is to not react to slurs, because then they get under your, they think they've got under your skin, and then I'm just like, let the slur slide, and I'm like, shit, it's on my like channel or something. It's my reputation. Anyway, let's move on to the next caller, because we can definitely fit this person in. So we're going to talk to Taylor in Texas. That was a alliteration. Who is struggling to see themselves as trans despite all the signs. Taylor, tell us about it.
Yeah, so as far back as I can really remember, it is like, looking back at least, a lot of signs that line up with gender dysphoria, from small things like I'd always just pick the girl in video games or whatever, but I'd just have rationalizations for whatever, all the way up to I kind of saw myself as, losing the coin flip at birth in the gender lottery or whatever. And then a bunch of more stuff that might be a little TMI that I don't want to get into, but just a lot of ways that I would have expressions that, looking back now, especially after a lot of research and looking into the topic more, because I wanted to be a really good ally, and realizing, oh shit, I relate to a lot of this stuff, that even despite seeing that and even recognizing a lot of it as well, it's very difficult to see or mentally view myself in that way, despite actively wanting to, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess my first thing is, do you play bass?
I do not. I do. I have actually dehumanized. So, Katy, you're on my gym playlist, and a few weeks ago, your bass playing on Judgment Reigns did help me hit my squat PR. So, thank you for that.
Oh, well, amazing!
That's funny.
You got
so
a fan on board.
My conclusion is you're definitely trans, because no.
Yeah.
But, I guess what I'd say is it can be difficult to view yourself as things, just in general, and I don't spend a lot of time considering what my labels are, and seeing myself how other people would see me, and kind of stuff. And certainly in transition, that was difficult. Like saying like, "Oh, I am a woman," or "I am a trans person" out loud is weird. Like at the start, like it's normal for me now because I've said it so many times on this show, but like. It is weird just because things change, and it's, there's so much negative connotations with it in society, and you're worried. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter, like, what you see yourself as. I mean, it can a lot. But if you're at the start and you're like, maybe I want to transition, maybe I don't, maybe I want to tell people, maybe I don't, whatever, you can do those things without knowing. And like, I think I've said before a few times on this show, when I came out, I didn't say, hey everyone, I'm a trans woman and I'm going to transition and have surgery and hormones and stuff. I said, guys, I'm having like gender issues and I don't know what I want. And I would just appreciate if you just like bear with me while I find out. And then I just did things. And I was just like, you know what I want to do today? I just want to try wearing makeup. Or do you know what I want to do today? I want to book a laser hair removal for my face. And I just did those things because I thought, and I think laser was the best example. I was like, you know what, whether I'm trans or not, whether I'm a woman or not, whatever I am and wherever I'm going, I do not want facial hair because it makes me feel horrible. So I'm just going to laser this fucker off anyway. And then I'll just sort of label out later. And then I just kind of kept taking all these small steps. I was like, well, it doesn't really matter what I am, but I kind of want to do HRT because maybe it will make everything, like all of my body issues, get slightly less. And I just kept going. And then I got to the point where, well, I think the reality is that I am a trans woman. And I think it'd be ridiculous to describe otherwise for my situation. And by that time, it had been more normal, and it felt like something I could say and stuff. And now it's like a non-issue. So I guess maybe it doesn't have to be an important step for you. Maybe it is an important step for you, but maybe what I'm saying is consider if it actually needs to be. I know, there is a lot of value and worth that people have in their identity and stuff, and I'm sure I do too. And I guess, in approaching that, what I'd say is, lots of this is just fear. And if you just think about the actual worst case from this. If you say to yourself, you know what, I'm a trans person, and you say it out loud, and it makes you feel weird, but you're like, no, I'm just going to fight it because this is all fear and stuff. And you say it out, you say it, and you say it, and you say it, and you get to the point where it's not an issue, and you're not scared of it anymore. And then you're like, you know what? Actually, no, I'm not a trans person. Okay, that's cool. Maybe you've told everyone in your life, and you're like, hey guys, I'm having gender issues, I might be trans. And then you're like, actually, no, I'm not. Okay, like your good friends will be there for you anyway.
Yeah.
It's like the actual value of this, it doesn't have to be oppressive. I don't know. What do you think, Arden?
Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of that. I think I've told my story so many times, so I hate being redundant, but in case you haven't heard things,
You're always
Taylor,
redundant.
I came out as trans at like 14 and gave, I was a little teenager telling everyone I was trans because I was, but I went through some stuff. I'm going to not bear the whole story. Point is, I detransitioned at 17 and transitioned again at 22, right? I have gone through the process of telling everyone in my life I'm trans, telling everyone in my life, oh, fuck, no, I'm not, actually change it back, and then going through and telling everyone again, just kidding, I was right the first time. Let's understand that I'm a woman now. So, like, I don't know. For me too, like something that stopped me was it was like a deep fear of like, a deep fear of the permanence of it, feeling like I was like, oh man, like what if I change my mind again or whatever. But like Katy just said, you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to kind of develop your understanding of yourself, and I don't think you have to reserve claiming your stake of who you feel like you are in that moment just because there's a potential it might change in the future. You don't have to be like, well, until I decide I'm a woman, I have to, be a man or whatever. And I like, those things don't have to be that way. You can kind of just, let yourself figure it out. But I will also say I had that same thing too, where for like the first few years, I think, of transition, I would occasionally like misgender myself in my head or something. But and I thought at one point like, oh, maybe that's an example of me like struggling to see myself as a woman. But I really don't think that's what it is. I think a lot of that stuff is you have neural pathways that you've used over and over and over and over again in your life, calling yourself one thing. And when you change that, just like it is for every other human in your life, it's going to take a little bit of time for your brain to rewire that signal. You know what I mean? It doesn't apply to everyone. Not everyone has that struggle, but I don't know. And maybe those things don't apply to you. Feel free to tell me if that's the case.
No. That definitely does apply. Like multiple things that both of y'all said did. So I mean, just as far as the kind of misgendering in the head. I mean, I put my pronouns down as they them because I've kind of become uncomfortable referring to myself masculinely and like those pronouns, but like I'm not enough to get to the she her. I don't think I'm non-binary, but it's just like I can't. Again, that mental image of it. But as far as just telling people I'm going through something, I've told a lot of people, close friends, like, hey, I'm going through something. I'm not comfortable to say what. And then two of my really close friends, I actually didn't mean to. I just kind of, in two separate occasions, got very drunk. And then the filter just bleh to where I told them just pretty much a lot of it.
I did it every time.
But then, yeah. Yeah, I woke up the next morning on the second one. I was like, fuck, and I just pretended like I didn't do anything. So I know she knows. I don't know if she knows that I remember or whatnot. Either way. And then things like makeup and a lot of like leg shaving and whatnot, to where just little things here and there that it's a double-edged sword with it, because on one hand it's like, okay, there is a good feeling in this, but at the same time, especially with the makeup stuff or wearing like a bra under whatever the shirts or whatnot, just to kind of get something on there, just there's this feeling of like, okay, I like this, but also that internal voice of like, what the fuck are you doing? Like this is just this, which of course culturally it is weird. So especially, I mean, I'm from Arkansas, I'm in Texas, I went to a conservative university. There's a lot of mental deprogramming I have to do, but just that internal voice of like, this ain't right, despite feeling like it is. So
Yeah.
I was kind of rambling on there. So
No, it's okay. I think one way I deal with this kind of, you said like socially it's weird, or society says it's weird. Society says a lot of horrible things about trans people, and it's very easy. Like, I internalized all of it growing up, and it's very hard to get rid of it. And I think it's extra hard to get rid of it about yourself. And my advice for that is, when you're doing something and you're like, you know what, I want to, wear a dress today. And then this voice in your head says, oh, it's weird, you're a weirdo, a freak or whatever. Rather than thinking, well, am I, like rationally, just think of like me or Arden or someone, and just be like, is it weird when they do it? Like, is it weird? Or
right.
You could also pick a cis man who wears dresses, like a drag queen, or maybe not drag queen, or like just a man who just likes to wear dresses or whatever, or just other trans women, or something like that.
Harry
just be
Styles
like,
or someone like that.
Yeah, exactly. Harry Styles. And just think, are you judging? Do you personally, Taylor, judge me and Arden for it? Do you judge Harry Styles for it? And maybe you still do. Maybe you've got some issue to resolve. But the thing is, I think it's much easier for you to internally get over that. And I found, like, when I was dealing with this myself, I would often be really judgmental of myself, and then see another trans person do it, and I'd be like, yeah, but it's normal for them. And I was just,
that's exactly
once you
my
get
mentality.
over that,
I'm telling you.
Yeah, exactly. And once you can kind of, I was kind of training myself to, every time I felt shit about myself, just be like, well, I didn't know Arden at the time, but I'd just be like, would I think this if it was Arden doing it? And the answer is no, and so therefore it's ridiculous. And I just don't even let myself do the judging, like cut myself off, like stop being a bell end. You wouldn't be a bell end if it was Arden doing it, so come on, get over this, idiot.
Right.
And I did, eventually. It takes time. None of this is easy. None of this is straightforward.
Okay, if I'm interrupting, I'm sorry. I don't know if you finished your topic, but the audio has been in and out right now.
No!
So Jimmy, I appreciate the
it's
effort.
back to shit.
I appreciate the effort, Jim, but it's not been as bad as it was in the previous calls when I was listening, but it's every once in a while it is a little off. But Jimmy, I appreciate the effort, though.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for calling, Taylor. We'll probably let you go because we're already like way over our call-in portion of the show. So
right, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank y'all so much for. I mean, this honestly been like one of the best things I've done in months with this. Just hearing that from y'all. So thank y'all so much.
Good. And feel free to call back if you need another pep talk. So thanks so much, Taylor, for calling, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
I let the last caller who was on there know that it's gone to crap again, and since it was a more antagonistic call, to call back in another week when we fixed it, because it wouldn't have worked.
You can call back next week, mate.
I know the audience I know the audience likes our antagonistic calls, and we do want to deliver those when we can. I will say, though, I saw the topic of this caller, and I would love to have a little bit more big picture conversations about this stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
that
I was
topic
ready.
I would have talked about it. I just
my decision on how I react to things is, I don't ever want to shy away from any question on trans rights, because what if I'm wrong, and therefore I should engage on all this, at least to the point where some of these questions are boring. Like, if I see a new question, if there's a new topic, I want to be able to engage it and not just hide from it. And sometimes it's a new big thing, and it's like, oh, what about this? What about this? And I'm like, wow, okay, this is really hard to deal with, but I've got some drive to deal with it because I want to know, I want to understand what the correct position is. But sometimes these things happen, and I'm just like, oh, this is so boring. My God, like, I know what this is. It's like a new incarnation of something I've already seen before. And I know everyone's got to have this big fucking argument about it, but it's just so tedious. And I feel like I have to engage with it because, one, I don't want to run away from it, and two, I don't want to look like I'm running away from it. But my goodness, please just pick interesting topics.
As far as content goes, though, it like unequivocally does the best. Not just antagonistic callers, but like current event stuff that everyone's yelling about on Twitter and shit.
I know,
like, that's the stuff that
Wes, or whoever may have been in the call queue, call in next week. You can pick the same topic. I'm ready for it. I will take it on. I'm totally happy to, but I will say that it is a little bit of a boring one, and I think you can pick a more exciting topic.
Yeah. I know Wes has got some more interesting calls to call about, but we do have to move on to Super Chats. I need to take like a 2-minute break. So if Katie, you want to read the first few Super Chats, you got that? I sent a message in the group chat.
Potatoes are falling out.
Yeah, the potatoes are falling out. I gotta go sew it up back up.
Solo me, Jimmy. Do we still have that feature? Maybe we do. Anyway,
what is it?
So for anyone who doesn't know, this is do me a solo screen. So Arden's potato is not on screen.
I mean, it just doesn't work for this is all.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just do this. That's fine. Whatever. I was just going to say, now is the time for everyone to send their super chats in if they would like to. If you send one that's $5 or more, then we'll read it out. And if you put hashtag Team Katy at the end, then maybe I'll get the most votes and we can bully Arden into wearing something else stupid. Maybe we can just make her wear a potato sack every single week. That could be like the new thing. I get to wear a fun, fancy outfit, and she gets to wear a potato sack every single week. Maybe if you like. Also, bass players, let's get some hashtag Team Bassists in chat because we're a fucking meme apparently. But anyway, our first one this week is £5 from Ian Aspie, who says, "Question for Katy." Oh, that's convenient because I'm the only one here. I know this isn't trans related. What is your opinion on the metal band Cradle of Filth? Hashtag Team Queen, Team Katy, Team Metal. Thank you very much, Ian. I got a funny story about Cradle of Filth. One time I was on a cycling holiday with my family when I was a teenager and like just cycling along, in our little family group or something. And this dude comes up in a car and like winds down the window. And I thought, like, it's happened before. Sometimes car drivers just hate cyclists and they're just horrible to cyclists. And so this guy like leveled up with me and was driving on my speed and went down the car, and I was like, oh, he's going to shout some abuse at me, or like before I've even had someone throw things at me. And he was like, oi, mate. I was like, ugh. And he's like, do you like Cradle of Filth? I was like, I guess. And he was like, take these, and just gave me like 4 CDs of Cradle of Filth, like the first 4 albums. He's like, don't like them anymore, and then just like drove off. I was like, okay. And then we got to the next place where it's convenient to stop, and my parents were like, what happened with that man? Like, did he shout something horrible to you? And I was like, he gave me these. And they're like, what? So I was like, well, now I feel like a duty to listen to all of them, and I did. And they don't hook me. I think it's too like posy. I don't know. I think like 4 out of 10. I've watched them live once, a Bloodstock, where someone fired a gobstopper out of a giant catapult and hit the guitarist in the spine. That's scrim. Don't do that. Don't bottle bands.
Oh my God.
Yeah, anyway, Arden is now back to read the maths.
Oh, yes.
One. So.
Okay, the next one is £5 from Sean Isherwood. The floor of the fraction with numerator the factorial of n and denominator Euler's constant E is even for all natural n.
Okay,
I just
so I can.
Yeah.
No, go on.
Elucidate. No, please.
So factorial is where you time, like if you did factorial 3, it's 3 times 2 times 1, and if you did factorial 5, it'd be 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So it's like a way of like getting a really huge number really quickly, because obviously that just gets bigger and bigger, like in a super rate. So like factorial 500 is like a ridiculously big number. And then like numerator and denominator are 2 parts of a fraction. So the numerator is the top bit and the denominator is the bottom bit. Euler's constant, which is how it's pronounced for some reason. E is a special number. So like pi is a special number. It's like 3 point whatever. E is also a special number, and it's like 2 point whatever. And it's the number that when you put so e to the power of x differentiated is e to the power of x. Kind of hard to explain, but it's important in gradients of things, and it's like this kind of magic number that falls out of the maths in the same way that pi does. It's quite interesting. And then natural numbers is just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like the integers basically. The floor of the function, I only know the computing term for floor, and that's means without decimal points basically. So I don't know if that's the same. But anyway, interesting. Thanks, Sean.
Interesting. Matt actually got a book that he encouraged me to read recently about math, because I often hate on myself for math, but I mean I got like in several courses that were math related, I got like straight A's in college. So like clearly I'm not completely inept, but it's about like trusting your like intuition in math, I think, or something like that. I'm sure he'll be in the chat being like, it's yes, in numeracy, exactly, yes. So I'll be reading that one soon, but I think this one's you, Katie, because I read the last one. 5 from Kevin in the 413. Hey, Katy and Arden, just dropping in to remind everyone that Mayo is evil. Yes, thanks, Kevin.
No hashtag.
I like how
no
there was
point.
no.
Sorry.
No,
I was gonna say there's no
point,
hashtag in
Kevin.
there.
I thought we were friends. Poppy, come on. Next.
$10 from I Got Cookies. I have joggers with a huge Ouija board on them, and I was wearing them today visiting the hospital, and a lady wearing a cross wouldn't get into the elevator with me. I'm weird. Hi. I would think that, oh man, I would have a hard time not like bullying that person a little bit, like as the door is closing, being like, start making some like distorted growling sound or something.
What you should have done is just stayed in the lift, so that when she waited and then the lift went up and then came back down and the doors open and you're still there.
Oh my god, that would be so funny. Oh my god.
I've watched this video so many times that it's the first thing that comes to my mind whenever I see Ouija board. But have you seen there's like a Yahoo Answers, people asking about Ouija boards? It's like if you search YouTube for Luigi board, people are like, what is a Luigi board? It's just, if you've seen a video, it's the same guy who did How Do I Get Pergnat? That video. Oh, no, it's like, look him up.
I'll have to look that up. Also, Matt had said in the chat, it's not about trusting intuition. So I got that wrong, I guess.
Yeah, well, I was going to say maths is the opposite of trusting your intuition, because humans are crap at maths.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
$10 from Alyssa. People going back to ancient Greece knew the world was round. Yes. Flat Earth came. They like estimated it from like parallax or something. Man, I can't remember it now. But they estimated like the diameter of the Earth fairly accurately in ancient Greek times, which is pretty cool. Flat Earth came about in the mid 1800s when science started needing specialized tools. Gender critical are doing the same with gender and ancient cultures. Yeah, I mean, like lots of these science denial movements are new things. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, flat Earth is not just from the 1800s. Like in the 1800s, it was a thing, but it wasn't really big until like modern times. It's like an internet thing, really, which is interesting.
Yeah, the internet has been a hotbed for conspiracy, that's for sure. Another £5 from Sean Isherwood. Oops, Euler's constant is, what is that, gamma? Lowercase gamma, yes, yeah. Okay, gamma. Euler's number is E. Okay, so those are two different things, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about Euler's constant. I only Euler's number. And use Euler paths to determine the routing of metal layers in transistors in chip production, which is interesting. Anyway, next, he was one of these like polymath geniuses.
Couldn't be
Sean
me.
too, of course. €5. Hey, you're both an argumentative person and a pretty person, so you're basically a polymath. And you're not a bassist.
I could be.
€5 from Yasmin Meadowflower. Mayo makes you immortal, and the Team Mayo sun always rises.
Let's
The Team
go,
Mayo sun always
Yasmin.
rises sounds like some kind of like extreme nationalist. Like you will say it to each other. Like,
Oh my God.
the Mayo sun always rises.
See, I had the image of some like Adventure Time-esque Mayo sun raising up into the sky.
Have we established any
Ugh.
stakes? Do we got what? Give the people something to vote for. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. Next time. I mean, I do find the
know.
food ones kind of funny. Yeah. Okay. What is
Arden
it?
has to do her. Arden has to do her next other job in a potato sack if she loses.
Oh my God.
I think we got to make it. I think we got to keep it to the YouTube show.
No, I know. We've got to keep it for this. I just thought that'd be really funny. Yeah, I could do another food one. Wait, what? Don't done any food one. What do you want me to eat? That's not slime. Chili.
What other
I'll eat a
foods do you
chili.
not like? Chat's good at
I
helping
don't
with this.
like-
They helped us decipher. Sorry.
I don't like cucumber, citrus fruits, raisins, or raisin derivatives like sultanas, dates. I think that's my full list of textures I don't like.
You don't
I
like
also don't
any
like
citrus
those.
fruit?
Oh,
I
like
feel
citrus
like
fruits.
I love citrus
No,
fruit.
I
I feel like
wouldn't.
you have to like bite a slice of lemon or something.
I once tried to eat a whole lemon, including the peel, and it was very disgusting, and I nearly threw up. And oh, mate, it's making me feel a bit chundry now. The peel of a lemon is beyond disgusting texture. It is. Ugh.
Yeah, the peel of most citrus fruit raw is you can candy them and it's really good, but raw, no, that's nasty.
We could just stick with the potato
Yeah.
sack theme, and the loser eats a raw potato.
Okay.
Raw potatoes can be quite bad for you. Like they might give
Can
you
they?
some stomach cramps. Yeah, because like the green bits of potatoes are kind of poisonous. So, well, that's my understanding.
Well, we could like boil it or something. I guess it wouldn't be raw.
Can we just cut out the green bits? I don't know.
Can we have a special edition show instead of taking any calls about trans people? Me and Arden just cook up like a bath load of mashed potato and then see who can eat the most.
I was just gonna say, I was like, we'll do like the loser has to like eat a stuffed potato in like a certain time limit or something.
Oh yeah, I could deep throat a potato on air if I have to.
Damn. I guess Katie's doing other
I
content
like
too.
potatoes. I can see off some potatoes. That is definitely one of my skills. Anyway, 50 Swedish krona from Puck Tholander. I love potatoes. # Team Arden.
Yes. You're gonna
I
love
also love
potatoes now. If you didn't already. Awesome. Thank you so much, Puck. Getting me those points. Team Arden, show up. Remember, we have to get 25 total votes for any punishment to be sent out anyway.
What punishment do you all
get-
want? Someone super chatting a punishment.
Yeah. Help us decide. We got time. Get in those super chats and share with us your ideas and get in your votes, most importantly.
Is this a new slime?
So this one is from Zionius, $20. Team Béarnaise sauce.
Béarnaise sauce. Yeah, I have an idea.
Okay.
Whoever loses has to give a 2-minute speech dedicated, and it has to be positive, to their head of state. So it would be Joe Biden for Arden, and it would be what's his face for Katy.
Rishi
the Prime Minister.
Sunak. Oh,
Yeah.
fucking hell. That's
2 minutes of nothing but compliments for them.
I mean,
What would be... I don't know who that's worse for, because originally I thought it's worse for me because he's like a fascist, but at least everyone would know that it's a forced punishment. A video that just surfaces on the internet 10 years later of Arden saying Joe Biden's great is just going to be cringe because people might think it's true.
Well, I don't know. There's some good things you can say about Joe Biden's administration. I could
That's
do
true.
2 minutes.
There's nothing
2
good you can
minutes.
say about Rishi Sunak.
Easy.
Only, but
maybe
it's like
make it about
everything
like
that's good about Joe Biden is only like compared to Donald Trump. Well, you can't really just say he's that great. It's like compared to Trump.
I don't. I have positive things to say about his
Why don't
administration.
instead of our current one, we have to say something about our last one, because then you've got to do Trump and I've got to do Liz Truss.
Okay, yeah, that might be better.
In that case, it has to be 2 minutes of compliments of Trump versus Boris. You have to do a 2-minute Boris Johnson compliment.
I think that's easier than Liz Truss, but I'm happy to do it.
Most people don't even know
Boris
who Liz
is like
Truss
a cartoon
is.
Character.
Boris at least has international recognition. Americans will know. I think there's probably Americans in our audience right now that are like, who's Liz Truss? They don't know about. How long was she prime minister?
Boris.
6 minutes? 7?
Yeah, 7 minutes. Yeah,
right.
I'll do Boris Johnson.
So do 2 minutes of filleting our dear leaders.
just straight up complimenting. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm game. Okay, who wants to see that?
No pauses.
Oh, I'll write a whole fucking essay. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right.
I'm gonna have slides
Thank
and
you.
everything. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Zeronius. Is Team Béarnaise sauce? Is that Team Arden? I feel like
you're not. You can't just have random slimes. No, there is an infinite different number of slimes. People just be like, oh, I've put like, a different type of grease in this slime, therefore it's got called like Béarnaise. Sort of like, no, you're not having it.
No, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that is Team Slime. I mean,
no hashtag, no point.
Katy,
That's what we
Katy,
said earlier.
you yourself have said that I am Team Slime, so I think this pretty much just is automatically Team Arden.
Well, you don't even know what it is, so it might not be slime. It might not be slime. We don't know. We're not educated enough for this to be a point.
I guess we can no hashtag.
Everyone's gone.
Béarnaise
we've
sauce
moved on.
has white wine vinegar, a shallot, black pepper, tarragon leaves, 2 egg yolks, 12 tablespoons unsalted butter, kosher salt, and a splash of lemon juice. There's no mustard
So
in
it's
it.
meant to be kind of mayo-esque if it's got 2 eggs in it.
No, yeah, but there's no mustard in it. So
of-
everything with egg in it
Yeah, that's the texture.
isn't automatically mayo. Have we asked who sent this? Zeonius.
Some of the pictures, it's more of a gloop than a slime in some of the pictures, but some of the pictures it's definitely a slime. I think
It looks
in
like
the
it
jar,
goes on
it
a
looks like a
steak, mostly.
Okay. I will investigate. I'll investigate, and you can have a point next time if I decide it's slime. How's that?
It is yolks also, whereas mayonnaise I think is made with the whole egg.
I'll tell you what.
Okay.
If I decide it is slime, you can have a point next week, and if I decide it's not slime, I'll eat it on the show to prove that I've decided
What if
it's not
I
slime and I'm
decided
not just
slime?
scamming.
He was trying to get
Okay.
out of praising. Yeah, by the way, you can now vote. You can now Trump. You can now vote hashtag Team Trump or hashtag Team Boris if you like
Fucking
to
hell.
vote. If you vote for Trump, hashtag Team Trump, Katy gets a point because that would make Arden have to praise Trump. And so it's like in reverse. Trump.
Who do you
for
hate most? Yeah.
Trump for Katy, Boris for Arden.
Also, I would like to point out that the chat poll goes to me, so I definitely get a point from that. That's done,
we'll
right?
see. We haven't ended it yet.
Oh, it's not over? Oh, okay.
Yeah. You should have.
Team Arden, get in there. Hashtag
Now
Team
you've gotten
Potato.
ahead of yourself. They might switch it over.
I thought it was done
we should
already.
switch over, guys. We should switch over. Right, come on, next. I'm gonna
next
do
one,
a
next
thing
one.
after this show
Alright,
before I go to bed.
I remember- I think
9.99
it's
from
you.
Ramona. Arden out here being the sexiest potato since the album cover from Neutral Milk Hotels in the aeroplane over the sea. But I'm a royalist since the Queen hates mayo. Hashtag Team Queen. Yeah! Fuck you, sexy potato.
It's okay, I'll take being a sexy potato. It's better than any points I could ever get.
That's the point for me, Jeremy. Thank you all. Next.
$4.99 from Coffee Mom. Thanks for the BTS vid. Now I get to picture you at your handcrafted multi-screen of madness. Wait, at your handcrafted multi-screen of madness during each show. It completes the moment. Hashtag Team Arden. I'm confused. I don't know what this is in reference
Is it
to.
Have you done a BTS video?
I don't think so.
I did a BTS video and I released it to if channel members and patrons get to watch how the lines
This is
made.
a Jimmy one. This is a hashtag Team Jimmy.
You sent this to our line mega chat. I did watch like a little bit of it. So okay, I knew I get what they're saying.
It was made for you more than anyone.
Okay, I got an in-person lesson. I didn't, come on.
I literally made it for you and then was like, oh, well, I'll release it as a little Patreon thing deal too.
I'll watch it now, okay, Jimmy? I want to make you happy.
Hilarious.
Send it to me.
Yeah, it's in our group chat.
Well, that group chat that everyone's in a different time zone and everyone has fun when I'm asleep.
We actually say that too. We're like, everybody, start having fun. Katie's asleep.
Yep.
10 dollarinos from Sarah Dye. I feel your pain, Arden. I can have a great time with people, talking to them and helping them. But before I deal with so much anxiety. Love you both. Thanks, Sarah. Probably not Sarah.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. We have talked about it a lot. This stuff stresses me out. It gives me a lot of anxiety. I go through stages where, like, for months at a time, I feel like I can't do it. But the more pressing feeling is when I watch other people do it badly. And then I'm like, well, I have to get back in because I can't let that just be out there.
That's why she's on to supervise me.
It's true.
Next. I want to pick up the pace of this because I've got to do some things before I go to bed. $5 from Tilly. Oh, no, I did the last one. Your turn.
$5 from Tilly Miller. I'm love mayo, but I also have put my tongue in unholy places and consume many kinds of slime. So take what I say with a grain of salt. Hashtag Team Arden. Damn. Okay.
I'm assuming that you're talking about like putting your tongue into somewhere where like a snail lives, and then.
Oh, I was thinking butthole, but.
What slime is that? A butthole? I don't want to know. Change the subject.
I don't want to know. I don't know.
I'm copying and pasting that to my Tinder bio.
I learned what a cream pie was this week, and I didn't want to. $10
You only
from
just
Sarah.
now learned what a cream pie was?
Well, I knew what the food was. I didn't know it was a porn term.
Yeah, it's been a porn term since I was 14. 18 years.
Yeah, but
my God.
That's a lot of porn for you, but in 18 years, there's not a lot of porn for me.
My knowledge of what a cream pie is an adult now. It's 18 years old.
Oh my God.
Well, mine is not. So, anyway, right. Sarah Dye, I have wanted to change my name since I was a kid to something that feels more like me. I haven't because I fear the burden it may put on others. But maybe non-binary to figure it out. I may be non-binary trying to figure it out. I mean, yeah, I guess it's a bit of a burden, but like, fuck it. I mean, it's your friends do it because they care, and everyone else can fuck off. I don't know.
Yeah.
I understand your pain, and you're not wanting to inconvenience people. One of my trans women friends, I met her after she came out, and she changed her name. And it's been like a burden for me, as in like I had to call her something different, but that's not a burden. I mean, she's my friend, so I just got to deal with it. And I did dead name her the other day out of nowhere after not doing it for like 9 months. It was really weird, but it wasn't her OG dead name. It was her like level 2 dead name. I don't know. Anyway,
I get what you mean. Yeah.
I find I'm not trans, but I changed my name, and there are a lot of people who like fucking make it about themselves and like, no, you're always blank to me, and I'm like, well, then I'll never speak to you again. And then they change their name. Yeah. They change their minds.
Jimmy's name at birth, by the way, everyone was blank. Reginald. They were like, nah, not Reginald blank.
Yeah, but now my name, as everyone knows, is Xander Crookshanks.
Yeah, blank.
£8.99 from Start Transfer. Hi, Katie. Was that an Ibanez I saw? If so, what model?
Yeah, it's an RGR655M. No, wait, what is it? It's an RGR5220M. That's what it is, and it's green, so that's why it's gone like invisible on the background. Yeah, RGR5220M, and I also have an RG655.
So if
That's
any
why
of
I
you
was
caught those
confused, too.
serial numbers, you can now vote by doing hashtag RGR5220 whatever for a vote for Katie. And if you want to vote for Arden, you can do a vote for hashtag cream pie.
I would love
Katie
to be
hates
cream
pies,
pie.
for the record. What'd you say?
I said I would love to be hashtag cream pie. I would be honored.
Your hashtag cream pie.
Hashtag give me the cream pie. No.
And if you get one digit of that serial number wrong, I get the point.
Exactly.
$9.99 from Arden. Hey, name buddy. Thanks for tweeting me with this past week. I appreciate it. Katie, I love you, but I got to be hashtag Team Arden. Ugh. So you're in your hyping up your own name. That's very gauche.
I love
Next.
it. Thank you, Arden. Thank you,
How
other
am I
Arden.
losing so badly? What is guys? Come on! I thought we were.
I've been getting so many votes. $4.99 from Ramona. Sigh. I am a trans woman and I played bass in a few bands in high school. Wishing I was Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth. Hashtag typical Tran. So I don't think that's a vote for anyone.
That's a vote for me because I'm the bass. I'm the typical meme.
Sorry, the vote was hashtag typical Tran.
Yeah, I think we need some clarification from Ramona before we can issue that vote. I'm sorry.
I think that's me. I'm the most typical of all trans people.
By the way, I would like to be the one person who says you can also have played bass in high school and just ended up pansexual, for the record.
For now.
Wow, Jimmy, are you sure you're not a trans woman?
Bass was 100% my first string instrument. I ended up graduating to a real guitar, but bass was where I started.
That's what poser bassists say. Anyway, next.
That's you.
Oh, is it? £5 from Chris Jefferson. Have to be hashtag Team Potato because Katie really didn't take her queenly responsibility seriously.
Hell yes.
Abolish the monarchy. If I was queen, the first thing I would do is cut my own head off.
Do you even respect the audience?
Chat is Team Arden. Team Potato. Chat loves potatoes. Let's go potatoes.
I respect 2 people from the audience so far.
$6.96 from Mike Rope. £6.96. I hate to break this news to you, Katie, but the queen is dead. Long live the potato girl. Slime is king.
That means you're married to Slime, though. So
I'm sorry. We established at the beginning, though, no hashtag, no point. I have to be equally cruel.
I think we should offer clarification opportunities in the chat. If we're gonna let Ramona clarify, I feel like we should let.
Of course you can clarify, and it costs $5.
Yeah. Sure. Mike, please, the potatoes need you.
Potatoes. Is it me again? It's always me.
Yep.
$4.99 from Louise Richardson. I always love this show. Oh, thanks. I transitioned in 1977 and I turned 75 next week. Amazing. My picture, Svetlana, a friend calls it, is less than 2 years old. Oh, amazing, Louise. Happy birthday for next week. Maybe we'll even talk to you next week. But yeah, it's mega. Good stuff. Thanks for...
Yeah, I love getting to hear about trans women who...
fighting the bullshit that there was around in 1977 so that we could be here doing this.
Yeah. 69 Swedish krona from Robin Talstig. Add 1 + 1 = 2. Say, I also do math. Hashtag Team Katie.
Yay! Thanks, Robin. That was just as informative and exciting as Sean's tweet this week.
It's about the math that I can do, so thank you. Yep.
I read 10 from Min Nguyen. Sorry, that was my best attempt. I know Katy's view on Translucent's plan to publish article about being trans as a biological condition. I'm curious about Arden's take. Do you think it would harm or help trans people in general? So there's a new trans org called Translucent, and they did an announcement that they were going to not publish a paper, publish an article which they said proved that being trans was biological, and it caused a bit of a stir on trans Twitter because some people said, well, why? What is this going to be for? I'm worried that it's so that cis people can make a test to see who's trans and then like abort us or whatever. And it became a big argument. And then I took a side on that, saying, yeah, any test for LGBT people is just going to be used to try and wipe us out. And then a load of people said, oh, Katy doesn't think that being trans is biological, so what is it then? And all the gender criticals got on. And I just think it was, I don't know, it's kind of tedious, but like my position, just so you know, Arden. Actually, no, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm doubtful. I'm doubtful that it's even possible to demonstrate that being trans is a biological condition. I mean, they've been looking for the gay gene forever, and there are definitely things they found can be associated with an increased likelihood of someone being gay, but they have not found anything that is like the gay gene. They're not even close. I am super doubtful that they've even
there probably isn't one
that they've met a burden of proof to make that claim, to back up that claim rather. I would read it when it comes out if someone sends it to me. I don't know. I am definitely, cautious about how that would be weaponized. I always like new information. I mean, like if it wouldn't be weaponized, I'd be very curious to know if it was a thing. But I'm just doubtful that it is. I don't think that's really how human brains work. But I don't really have an opinion yet. It hasn't been released.
Yeah, I think that the confusion was not over whether it's a condition or not, or whether we want to find out. I mean, it's interesting. Find out why people develop to be trans is interesting. But, like, the issue is creating a test. That's the issue. Anyway.
Yeah.
$10. Oh, no, it's you, isn't it?
Yep, $10 from P. Marine. Hopefully, I'm a cis male with a big beard, some say intimidating, and I wear trans socks flag. Oh, the trans flag as socks, to show my support. But what goes through your mind when you see someone showing this kind of support? This makes me think of the dude who's been testifying at laws that wears the trans flag shirt that everyone loves. Like, I think at first people are going to assume you're trans or something, and maybe it could spark some conversation. But I think it's cool if you're cis and you wear trans flag socks. And then when somebody's like, why are you wearing those socks? You can be like, because I support trans people. And I think that kind of thing coming from cis men honestly can have a bigger impact on a lot of people's mind than us doing like this show, which is unfortunate, but I think it's
your
true.
Socks are more important than our entire show, mate, so you cannot take them off ever, is what we're saying.
Look, the general public will listen to a straight cis man. Well, I don't know if you're straight, but they'll listen to a cis man before they'll listen to a trans people, I think, most of the time on these issues. So
I wonder if this is the guy we met at dinner this last Sunday. Because
I had that thought too.
Yeah, he was wearing like this big, like intimidating guy, big beard. I think he said he was an ex-Marine. I know he is ex-military, and he goes with, I don't know if you were there for this part of the conversation, but like he has a group of veterans who go to like drag story hours and stuff and stand outside and protect it from protesters.
Yeah, I think he's part of the John Brown Gun Club. A couple of protests I used to go to. I probably shouldn't say that. I don't know if that's like.
Yeah, we don't need to be doxing people. I like your socks. Keep wearing them. You should get different ones.
Sweet.
For other things.
His address is just kidding.
123 Fake Street. I just went and saw a band that I presume was all cis men, and at one point they ran out with a progress flag, and it was good. €5 from Mismatched. Nice to see the OGs hosting again. Missed you two. Thoughts on tuna omelette with salad dressing? Hashtag Team Arden. Hashtag mayo on pizza. What is wrong with you? What is salad? What does that mean? You could dress salad with just balsamic vinegar, right, and oil like that.
Yeah, sometimes that's what salad dressing means in America. Sometimes there's like, I don't know. It varies. But anyway, thanks for the vote.
like omelette. I'm trying not to eat as much fish. I'm trying to stop eating fish.
Yeah, I used to like tuna, but there are a lot of good replacements.
So good. Best fish.
Anyway, $5 from Zaft K. Hashtag Team Katy. Mayo is vile. Mustard is the best. The punishment should be making a mock-up of one of Trump's NFT trading cards. That could be funny. Cool. Thank you, Zaft K.
Thanks.
I like that he released
like
NFTs like right at the height of the bubble having burst.
Yeah.
NFT bubble, like, never been a better
Just in
time
time
to get into NFTs. You're really gonna love them.
$4.99 from Claire. What is a bell end? I've heard you say that more than once on the show. And how come some people can even send dollar amounts and I can't?
Oh, can send even dollar amounts.
Well, that's interesting.
I don't remember which direction it is, but I believe, in fact, actually, I can find out right now. One of them means you're doing it from a mobile device, may even be an iPhone, and the other means that you're doing it from like a computer.
It's probably iPhone. It probably takes a cut. The Apple Store probably takes some cut, and it's probably some pricing thing.
That's also true, and that affects like how much we make on our end, but it just tells you how much they're sending. So if I right now on my iPhone, so on my iPhone I pull it up and it's only offering me .99s. But on PC I think it's solid numbers. So
yeah, mine's always. And a bell end is a British word for the end of a penis because it looks like a bell, I guess. And it's one word, and you can call someone a bell end. It's like the insult like dickhead, but it's a bit more like you. If you really wanted to have a go at someone because they've just like crashed into your car because they weren't looking, you wouldn't call them a bell end because it's like too charming. You call them like a fucking prick or something. But like if it's your mate and they've just like bought a drink and they turn around and they drop it on the floor and it just goes everywhere and you're like, you're a fucking bellend.
Is this you or me? I think
British love often comes in the form of insults.
Oh, okay. So $5 from Quagma TV. Team bottom screen. That's me. Is Butch...
No
is
hashtag.
Butch Fam?
No hashtag, no point.
Oh, come on. What is this bullshit? All right.
No hashtag,
fucking
no
losers. Is Butch Femme or Femme Butch a thing? Butch Femboy, gender expression and label so confusing. We are agender. Yeah, there used to be, I remember there used to be a meme in like the lesbian community where there was like a spectrum where there's like, if you're a Femme Butch, it's a futch. That's like a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some chart that they sometimes put like the Smash Bros characters on or something. It's like
yeah.
$5 from Dylan Fuller. I've been hating my new work. Man, getting tired. I've been hating my new work because of the constant misgendering, but made me realize most of my dysphoria is social. Team Arden, I love Mayo. For God's sake, man, the Mayo
Dylan.
People.
All right, this one's complicated because I feel inclined because the name was used to grant the exception that only if a name is declared do we excuse the no hashtag. But I'm pretty upset that there's no hashtag on this one either.
I feel like, I mean,
You're
sure.
the adjudicator. As soon as I get a Team Katy with that one, I'm going to argue it, aren't I? So, I'm sorry that people are misgendering you. That's very tedious.
Yeah.
For the record, we're driving hashtags because it affects the algorithm even in the live chat. So that's why we're trying to pull you into use it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That means we need more hashtag Team Potato. We need to pivot to a potato channel.
Just imagine the number of cooking shows that are going to accidentally redirect to us.
$10 from Jay Devon. Hashtag Team Arden, hashtag Team Potato. I think it's time for Katy to wear a potato sack. No one wants to hear y'all say nice things about those jerks. Wait. What jerks?
It must be relevant to the...
Oh, the presidents. That's right.
Just so everyone knows, we're around 10 votes off. When we run out of the super chats that are here, if we're wanting to see the hilarious dedication to either Trump or Boris for 2 minutes that one will have to do, we need at least 10 more voted chats, I believe is the number.
Come on, give us those hashtags. Okay.
Yeah, also I want to go to bed, so hurry up.
It's
£5
like
from
10 o'clock there.
Yeah, but I've got to do like a lot of stuff before I go to bed. I've got like hours of work to do.
Stop
£5
paying her
from
to
Chris
stay.
Jefferson. Katie, get your Mastodon fixed before Elon finishes off Twitter. Yeah, I know. So I made my own Mastodon instance and it stopped working, and I'm not enough of a system admin person to have resolved it, and I just haven't had the time. I'll get to it, but it's probably not going to be before Christmas. Until then, hashtag Team Arden. Fuck off.
I've had this ready since that came in, just to also give a little bit of insight. I asked this last night. Is anyone really using Mastodon? No. The answer is 2% of people check it often or periodically. 3% installed it and never again. And then everyone else doesn't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I
Then the
think 'cause it
problem
was
with
fun
all the
rather than
alternatives. Yeah.
Just saying is all. It's not
Anyway,
gonna,
thanks, Chris.
That's all right.
Next.
not gonna
RIP
replace it.
Twitter.
Next. $5 from Moko. Potato.
I think it's got to be Pocato, right? For Katy, Pocato. Maybe.
Potato.
This is definitely a vote for me, if that's what you're trying to say.
No, not even fucking close.
A reminder to the people in the chat: it's $5 or above to get it on the show.
$6.96 or 69 decipennies 0.6. Nice. From Mike Rope. Potatoes are amazing, but a clarification is needed. Hashtag Team Katy, aka I'm not going to say that.
Wow. All right, Mike.
Thank
Let's
you.
see how it is.
How do you like being
Amazing.
Team Trump today?
How do you like fucking off?
I love it. I love it.
$4.99 from Claire. What's slow mode? Hashtag Team Mayo. That's me. Based potato salad. Loser has to eat lemon, no cow bar, dipped in instant mashed potatoes with orange pop rocks.
That sounds
What
fine.
the fuck?
But slow mode is when Arden's given her opinion.
Wow. All right, everybody.
Wow.
It's been real doing
Right
the
now.
show with you, but unfortunately, Transatlantic is done for all time.
That was mean. And what you should have said is slow mode is the reason why you have to wait 30 seconds between sending super chats. However, if you'd like to bypass it and support the channel, you can become a channel member. You can hit that become a member button, and there are ways you can either support the channel at large or specific shows. And if you support a specific show, the hosts of that show get a larger cut of that, versus if you support the channel at large, it's sort of spread out between everybody. So just saying, that's what the
Support
memberships
us.
are.
If you want to hear me dunk on Arden more, then you should become a member.
Thanks, Claire. Next.
5 Canadian from Atomic Dracula. Hashtag Team Jimmy. The sympathy vote.
Yay,
Next.
the cis made it on the board.
I think we're
only
getting
have-
towards the end. Yeah.
I'm going to end the poll in chat. So Arden has won that. We only have 2 more voted $5 or above super chats, which means we're going to only be at 20. We need at least 5 more to make somebody have to do their, and it's looking like Katy do their
Somebody.
dedication to Boris Johnson. But if we don't hit 25, nothing happens anyway. We need 5 more.
Don't lose the fervor, Team Arden. This is one battle, okay, in
Keep
the
it up.
war, and we're gonna win.
Make it a blowout.
$4.99 from Rose Northcott. Hashtag Team Katy. Boo. Also, shout out to Jimmy and the channel. Happy to see all the new activity on the
We can
line.
still win this
Yeah.
team.
Can we take a moment to appreciate how fucking awesome the line is and the insane growth that's happening right now? It's really cool. And
Oh,
it's
thank
super
you.
exciting to work alongside all these awesome people.
Yeah.
It's nice
Me
to
too.
be appreciated every now and then, because mostly people just get mad at me for technical glitches, whether they're my fault or not.
Oh, me always mad.
And it's also
That's
cool
just a
that we can
past.
now say we're the best channel on the best show on the channel. I was gonna make a joke, but my brain's turned off. Next.
Unless you all come with votes, this is the last one. And geez, we need 5 more. Come on.
$5 from Zika de Silva 22. Slime is crime. Why haven't I thought of that before? Hashtag Team Katy. Slime is crime. Absolutely. I'm going to tweet that right now.
You could make it merch.
Well, while Katy tweets,
wait. Flipping
That's
heck.
true.
Well, I'm not
That's good.
set up for this, am I? Slime.
well, while
I'm gonna tweet it.
Katy tweets,
crime.
tweets, plagiarizes
Okay.
Zika de Silva. We are going to wrap up the show because there are no more votes. So unfortunately, there is no winner declared for this fight, even though I clearly almost doubled Katy's votes, which shows that Team Arden is out here in force. So we love you guys so much. As always, we appreciate the audience who shows up and you guys are the foundation of the show. We also love our mods who do so much work in the chat every week. And of course, Jimmy for doing all the production. Thank you guys so much. And we will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.